Dude, would you stop it? Cut it out. Dude, stop. We're not gonna see it. Sorry. His quality dropped because he's super excited to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He thinks it's a new Thor movie. He's been so hyped up ever since Thor Love and Thunder, which, coincidentally, is the reason we don't see Marvel movies in theater anymore. What? You want to talk about Thor? Now, this movie has been on my mind again recently, despite being pretty forgettable, because of a Chris Hemsworth GQ interview I saw. In it, he copped to the movie being too silly. And I thought, what? That was not the problem with this movie. Nothing feeling serious or connected is not the same as Taika Waititi was feeling a little bit quirky during filming. And the fact that he made Ragnarok and then this mess, and Hemsworth has no clue what went wrong, reveals a worrying trend about these movies. But first, I guess we should do a recap. Gore and his daughter Love are starving in a desert, and Love dies. A god-killing sword leads Gore and strangles him for, I don't know. Jane, meanwhile, has cancer. Stage 4 for Thor 4 with Gore. Because Thor is so handsome that Gore decides to give him his daughter, and at the movie. Chris and I went with nearly 20 people to see this movie. That's enough people to call this a social experiment. And aside from one person who was in tears over Jane dying, every single one walked out and shared my feeling. Meh. Just meh. And that's worse than a bad, funny movie. Meh is not. Let's not speak about this. Which is arguably 70% of a Marvel movie's draw. You have no friends. I have no friends. But we can pretend we have friends when we go see these movies. But that's the weird part. Despite 3 hours having passed, and $20 leaving my wallet, I definitely remember that part, it felt like there was nothing to talk about. Even though there were good scenes in this movie, like the one of Jane in the bathroom, the cancer having seemingly overwhelmed her, she takes a quiet moment alone. Just a moment of sickness. Good scene, but I couldn't even talk about that, because it just felt so disconnected from the rest of the movie. It just feels like you get to watch Thor screw around for 3 hours, while only taking away 3 key points. I'm sure the directors and producers, the guys with the vision, handed down these notes. Thor has to end up with the little girl. That's love. Thor has to get in shape. There's thunder. And Jane dies. Because let's be honest, it never made much sense, it's been a loose end too long, and we gotta move on to phase 50, so let's get ready for the next movie. And that's fine if you have a story around all that. The meat on the bones, which fills out the whole thing. But there just wasn't enough good meat on this. If I had to single out one detail that really makes this whole movie feel disconnected, I think the film glosses over a pretty big change in Thor, from an emotionally distant buffoon to a super put-together Thor. I mean, he reconciles with his girlfriend, who left him because he was distant, charms the bad guy with his sweet, empathetic words, and seamlessly bonds with his daughter/new sidekick. None of this feels earned, because it's something Thor could have never done. Forget throughout the series.
You are an old man and a fool!
Even at the start of this movie, he's unaware and inconsiderate and blows up these aliens' temples, and he scares the kids because he doesn't know how to talk to his own people.
The good news is, you're Asgardians, so if you die, you'll end up in Valhalla.
Oh my god, go away.
Very self-centered, not empathetic, aloof. Now, let's define aloof real quick. Not friendly or forthcoming, cool and distant. They were courteous but faintly aloof. To salvage this, okay, first, it's important to set the tone at the start of a film. For example, what makes a story like No Way Home so cohesive is that it opens with the consequences of Peter's decisions, and the movie ends with the same. The audience knows at all times that this is a movie about the decisions we make, and how owning that responsibility is part of growing up. So, to help tie Thor 4 together, I wouldn't make Gore scarier, or make Mjolnir funnier, or make Groot more gay, since Natalie promised me a super gay movie.
Someone asked Natalie Portman how gay the new Thor movie is.
So gay.
It would be to change Rapu at the very start of the film. Yes, Rapu, whose name you probably forgot. The comically insufferable god from the opening of the film is actually similar to another character. This parallel cements that not just one god, but most of these supernatural beings are self-absorbed. Unlike our hero Thor, who is so kind and down to earth and naked. Except he's none of those. Well, he is naked, but Thor used to be just like them. Sure, he's come a long way since he was smashing teacups in the first Thor. And he doesn't choke people for no reason. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I have more than enough words to describe you, Stark.
But he still struggles with relating to and caring for people close to him.
I said it was going to be like a relaxing holiday.
Juxtaposing these two with Thor only tells a story of how great a guy Thor is, instead of establishing how Thor learns or grows throughout this movie. My suggestion is this. Draw a parallel directly between Rapu and Thor. Not just in looks, but in tone. Maybe instead of starving to death, Gore explains love has a sickness. Have Rapu genuinely sympathize. Oh, dude, this was the cure. Before Gore says, she didn't make it. And then be like, wow, I'm sorry. Well, I'll be on my way, I guess. Showing he means well, he just was never that invested in his followers to begin with. And Gore feels the isolation of a one-way relationship. Shh. Yes. They both feel abandoned by someone they adore. Jane responds by closing the wage gap. Gore becomes a serial killer. But the principle is the same. Realizing he's acted no better than the other gods he's been judging, Thor makes the effort he does. And then Gore, who has space cancer, sees Thor fondle Jane, who has normal cancer, and decides he'd be a good father. Boom. Isn't that much more cohesive? I don't know, man. This is all nonsense. It's a movie about a guy with a flying hammer. I'm not asking for Scorsese. Which is funny, given that these guys take that as an insult. In the interview, Hemsworth said how it hurt to hear his idols talk down on Marvel movies. But he's also quick to play this movie off as just silly. It's not. You can't hope to be taken serious and then dodge responsibility. I said earlier that Hemsworth's comments, and this movie's flop, hinted at a worrying trend in Marvel.